Very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the first workshop of Startup Premier League. As I have already mentioned that we started this Startup Premier League from September 25 only, with the objective that there is a lot of ideas in the students community. But idea after some time वो खो जाता है because somebody probably hardly many people from the students community take up ownership, entrepreneurship, and they mostly get into that corporate sector. So we are there to handhold them, actually mentor them, and they try to build some startups out of that. So that was the objective we started off. We did orientation program, in around 12 colleges in Kolkata. And then we started off our discovery round, that is the ideation pitching round. Okay. And we have completed in around 8 colleges in Kolkata. A few more to go. There will be a grand finale. We will announce the date. And our USP is that we are unlike many other, what I would say hackathons and all. We will be mentoring each and every student so that if somebody is serious, really serious about it, yes, they will get the right guidance, they will get the right support so that they can actually fulfill their dream. So that was the objective we three started off with. Now, as a part of that, we have with us Ganesh Balakrishnan, a very, very kind-hearted person that I must say. He's an alumnus of IIT Bombay and IIM Bangalore, a seasoned entrepreneur, and whose journey has inspired thousands of young founders. I believe you guys must have seen his viral videos of Shark Tank. But he first co-founded Momoe, a mobile payment startup, which was later successfully acquired by ShopClues. Uh, I will say that it was started at an era when UPI was not known, so you all can understand how far ahead his thinking was. Second, he went on to build something completely different, that is Flatheads, a D2C footwear brand. And that was widely known for his innovation, the kind of material they were, using. And after that, he had an unforgettable Shark Tank India moment that we all know. And today he is building his new venture, Aurum, which is India's first 24/7 safe deposit locker facility. So, Ganesh, we are really, really privileged to have you here with us today. So, I will just start with the first question. Ganesh,
Arey,
you start.
Before you start, Tanya, thanks a
Yes.
lot for having me here. And Currently, I'm actually not only Aurum, I'm also working with four other startups, helping them on their growth marketing stack. So I, did the stint at a venture studio launching brands, and then had a lot of fun there. So that is something that I'm doing right now, working with multiple startups. Like a co-CMO kind of a role, right? So that's what I do normally. But yeah, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. For the larger audience, I guess we have the IMB connection in common, you, me, and Prasanna.
Yes.
But yeah,
We all are
great to be here.
batchmates, yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So the first question, Ganesh, from I am Bangalore only, you joined Bain, right? The number
Yes.
one consulting company. You spent some time there, and after that, you were handling around a $20 million portfolio of Honeywell. And suddenly, one day, we heard that Ganesh is building something. So, there are many students here who are at that juncture, at that crossroad. So how did you, from that point, how did you thought of leaving everything and, starting your entrepreneurship journey? And, if you can give some ideas to the students who are at this crossroad, how do they choose? What should they think? What are the pros and cons they should weigh before taking a leap?
Got it. Um, to be honest, when I was graduating out of college, both when I was in college, whether it was in IIT or later in IIM as well, my aim was not to become an entrepreneur. I was actually looking at the corporate, usual rat race itself. Um, But one thing I realized through my working career, which was almost 12, 13 years, was I was enjoying um, being part of like mini startups within large corporations itself. Like, for example, my first job in a company called Ingersoll Rand, I was a mechanical engineer. When I got a chance to start their engineering center in India, so I moved back from the US and started it here, right? So that was an entrepreneurial venture within inside the startup, inside the corporate. Similarly, when I joined Bain was what, less than 50 people, 40 people or something. It was a new office, right? In fact, when we did an internship with Bain before we joined, they could not even offer internships in India because the office was so small. So all of us went abroad for internships. So yeah, so again, small office, very close knit group, fast growing. That was the kind of atmosphere. Then I moved to Honeywell, where I was doing corporate strategy. Again, there my core role was actually incubating businesses, right? So that $20 million portfolio that you're talking about was actually a combination of about 15 different products and services and solutions that we had created for the India market, specifically for the Honeywell, all across the company portfolio, right? So it was again like an incubation kind of a role, and I just found that that common thread was there across, right? And that was the thing that I enjoyed most. What really gave me uh, the last push was the fact that I had a very good co-founder with me. He used to work with me in Honeywell, and he is a designer. His name is Utkarsh. So I am more from the business side, and he comes from the design side. So that combination worked pretty well for us, and hence, we both of us decided one fine day, कि यार, if we can do this incubation within a corporate, maybe we should try it out. And we've been doing this for a while, so might as well try it out as an entrepreneurial stint itself. So that's how we started. So yeah, long story short, from a people who are looking at starting up earlier in their career, when we started up, we were quite old, right? We were 35 plus. So uh, earlier the better is what I would say. Um, Two or three things that I would say would matter when you're thinking of starting up is number one, um, are you solving a problem that is big enough, right? Otherwise, it'll be a hobby, but it may not be large enough for you to make a business out of it, right? Number one. Number two, you have to find out how to make money, right? A business is always, running on revenues and
Yes, absolutely.
costs, right? So that is something that you will have to manage. And you have to be enthusiastic enough to run it. I mean, if you think about it 10 years into the future, you should be enthusiastic enough to say, hey, I will still be doing this. Maybe at a much larger scale, but I will still be doing this, right? That has to be there. Otherwise, it is um, uh, you can't, because it's your own startup, you can't quit halfway. You have to go all the way, right? That is something that you have to keep in mind. If these three conditions are satisfied, the sooner the better, right? When you're a student, there is no risk. You don't have an EMI on your head. You don't have, a family. You don't have kids whose
Yes.
school fees you have to pay, right?
Yes.
So, the sooner you start and you got unlimited energy, right? So that's a
Yes.
great time to start, according to me.
Great. Ganesh, given you talked about Utkarsh, I went through few of your podcast and where you talked about Utkarsh a lot. So I was just thinking that how important is having a right co-founder, because here I see that many people have participated in Startup Premier League, five member team.
Hmm.
Okay. So if they take it seriously and if they start a company, they will be their, co-founder. But uh, how do you, how important is having the right co-founder? If not, what actually happens? And anything to watch out before making the team. That is,
So, there is no right answer to this. There are enough solo founders. There are enough, two founder, three founder, four founder, even five founder companies that exist. In fact, Momo, the first one that we started, was actually five people who came together. So five co-founders. Um, One thing that you have see, should you have a co-founder? Um, One thing that I realized when I was doing startups is when you're on a high growth kind of a mode, you as a founder only have 24 hours, right? And there is a lot more work to be done. either you are very good at getting a very good team together who can actually handle multiple tasks so that you are focused on
Scaling up.
one or maximum two things, right? Otherwise, spreading yourself too thin, you will be more likely to burn out. You'll be exhausted, right? um, so in that sense, I see that co-founder is quite important. Either you are able to assemble that team very quickly, or you find somebody who is willing to basically take over the leadership kind of thing along with you, right? So that is the co-founder role. Um, at least in my case, yeah. And generally, what I would advise people is try to find people with complementary skill sets. Right. So I came from an MBA business background. He came from a product and design background. So he was more the head of the product, head of the supply chain, head of sourcing, all that stuff. And I was managing all the demand side, the business economics, P&L, right, running marketing, getting customers, all those things. That was that part I was managing. So it was almost mutually exclusive our skill sets, right, and hence it worked very well in combination. So if you're able to find co-founders like that, whose skill sets are complementary to yours, then it becomes a very strong co-founding team.
Okay. Given you talked about Momoe, it you founded, I believe, in 2013, right?
Yes.
11, 13, yeah. So at that point of time, India was not, India didn't know, what UPI is. So my question is, how did you really think about it? How did you really think that somebody will make, transaction? Not Facebook or, Orkut or whatever, they will do financial transaction through mobile. First of all, how did this idea came, and did you identify any gap? Did you do any customer survey and all? Because it's a new category and you will have to convince people to take the most risky things. Still people, I know my father doesn't do UPI because he's scared that all his pension will be gone. So,
Yeah.
that kind of, fear was there at that point of time. So how did you, starting from ideation to execution, how this whole change started, if you can throw some light on that.
Sure. I will not claim, or my co-founding team will not claim to be inventors of this idea. In fact, when we were in Honeywell, we used to travel quite a lot to China, right? Because the geographical, headquarters for Asia Pacific was in China, so we used to go there quite often. Um, what we realized there was mobile payments was already on, right?
Okay.
There was Alipay and WeChat Pay. These are the two big ones that were there at that time. Alipay was Alibaba and WeChat was Tencent. Um, and it was WeChat is like WhatsApp. And in that, there was payment already integrated, right?
Mm.
One thing we realized when we went to the shops there to, go buy, usual tourist stuff is a lot of them did not accept cards, right? They will look at you'll show the card, they'll say no visa, no visa, right? And the reason was because mobile payments was already active there. They used to do the scan and pay, what we are doing right now,
Mm.
right? They used to do that on their mobile phones already at that time. Um, that just blew our mind. We just looked at what they're doing, and it was everywhere. It was in all shops. It was right. It was not just in like one or two places. It was quite prevalent out there, and people were also sending payments to each other through WeChat, right? So that integration was already there. In fact, Paytm, the user interface looks very much like what the Alipay user interface looks like, right? Um, so uh, when we saw that and we saw, hey, this is great. If you look at it from a real world perspective, right? Most of the mobile payments that we had at that time were so there was Paytm, there was MobiKwik, and there was FreeCharge. These were the three big ones, and all three of them were basically doing mobile recharge, your
Yes.
prepaid and postpaid mobile payments and utility bill payments. So bijli ka bill bhar diya, right? That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Other than that, they were not doing anything offline in real world stores and stuff like that, right? They were only doing everything online. And we said, yeah, this already exists, and this is something that is quite popular. Incidentally, Starbucks had launched their own with a tech company called Square. They were piloting this in San Francisco, where they were doing digital payments in the Starbucks shop. So when you're walking in to take your coffee before you go to your office, so you can prepay for the coffee using the Starbucks app, and
Okay.
once you're there, you just pick it up and go, right? You don't have to stand in line. That was the idea. Now that was a great idea according to us, because that whole concept of standing in line is a big prevalent problem according to us in India, right? um, when you are done shopping, for example, in a store, right? आपका काम हो गया, you picked everything and you put it into your cart. The last step is payment, right? But that's where you have to go stand in line. Why do you have to stand in line? Ideally, मेरा काम हो गया ना, I should just walk out.
Yes.
Because of the inefficiency of the store to manage the crowd, we are supposed to stand in line. That doesn't make sense to me, right? That is the most painful part of shopping for me, right? Standing in
Mm-hmm.
line. Can we solve that? That was the thought, right? And that's what Starbucks was doing very well. You didn't have to stand in line. You could just go pick up, prepay, pick up, and go, right? The order was
Yes,
automatically
yes.
placed when you were on the way, and they would make it and keep it ready. You just pick it up and go. That was a great idea. And we thought, hey, maybe we can implement it a little differently here, right? The second thing that we found at that time in Bangalore was the pub culture was picking up quite a bit, the microbreweries, right? Within 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, the number of microbreweries in Bangalore went up from 1 to about 14 or 15, right? Within those 2 years. The thing about microbreweries is uh, it's a fun thing to be shared with friends, right? Typically, a group of people will go. 4 or 5 people will go together. They'll try the craft beers. They'll have food. They'll do all their evening hangout and stuff like that. And at the end, you pay and you leave. Again, it's a big group, right? Now,
Mm.
when it's a big group, what happens when we were there in the store pub is we noticed that guy, the waiter, has to go and bring the card machine first, right? And that time the wireless card machines were quite less. So what he will
Mm.
do is he will collect all the cards and then he will go to the billing counter to go and swipe because वो wired होता था,
Mm.
right? And during that time, so if it is multiple cards, then you have to split the bill. Some people will say, I'll pay cash. Some will say, I will pay card. Then that guy has to do the math. Imagine a waiter standing there. He has to do the math of splitting the bill between 12 people. It is ridiculous. You can't expect that of him, right? He's already under pressure to serve so many tables.
Yes.
And because of that, they were waiting almost 10-15 minutes extra to serve, pay the bill so that the next customer can come. That was inefficient for the pub also. We said, yeah, let us solve this. And that's what we did. In the app, in Momo, it was a checkout solution. So people could come in on a single bill, they could split the bill among themselves, they pay their own share, and that gets reflected directly on the billing pass at the counter, right? At the billing counter, so that they can just see that the bill is paid and people can just leave. That entire process of getting that credit card, swiping, paying cash, that entire reconciliation does not happen at all. All that happens in one shot. And because microbreweries also wanted to attract talent, like young people, right? And
Mm.
Bangalore is all techies. If you tell them that hey, there's a new tech thing in town which you want to try, so our early customers were all techies, right?
Yeah,
So
Bangalore adapts really pretty fast. Anything you
correct.
put in
And
the
people are
market,
always curious. Arey, ye kya hai?
curious.
Let's try this out, right? So that's how it started. And that's how it kicked off. Every brewery wanted to differentiate from other traditional, bars out there, and hence they wanted something new. And that's how we grew along with them. So that was the basic idea of Momo. It was checkout, not just digital payment. Payment was part of it.
So there are one or two questions way here. Should we start taking questions and then move with the flow? How do you
Sure,
suggest?
sure. I'm
Okay.
okay either way. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. There is somebody called Rohan Verma. Rohan, can you switch on your mic and say the question, please? Rohan?
I think mic as well as video, then it's more personal.
Yes. Yes, Rohan.
Hi, good afternoon, Ganesh sir.
Hi, Rohan.
Sir, my question was regarding the product market fit. Like, if we want to solve any problem, and like you said, the problem should be big enough to make a business out of it. So, how should we go identify that the problem is actually big enough and not a trivial thing to solve?
See, the
Rohan,
first thing
just
is
एक minute, Ganesh.
yeah,
Rohan, from which college you are in?
Praxis Business School.
access.
Okay, okay.
Nice. Nice question, Rohan. Um, See, the first thing is identifying the problem. I think that is the first thing you got right. A lot of people don't identify problems. They already think of a solution. जो आइडिया आता है ना, दैट्स अ बैड आइडिया टू बिगिन विथ, क्योंकि आइडिया सॉल्यूशन है, आइडिया प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, राइट? यू आर ऑलरेडी थिंकिंग सॉल्यूशन. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, stay in the problem, right? You have to spend a lot of time understanding, analyzing the problem in depth, right? What does that mean? You go and talk to people to see if they have the same problem. So do a lot of primary research. You go into observational research. Like for example, when we were doing Momo, this all that thing that I'm talking about, the time taken and the delay and stuff like that, was because we were sitting there and observing this, right? Actively seeing what are the problems that these pubs are facing and cafes are facing, and hence we were trying to solve that, right? So observational research is very, very key. Asking open-ended questions, not surveys, right? Survey में हमेशा yes no questions होता है. It's a very close-ended this thing. Initially, when you're trying to figure out whether there is a problem or not, you have to have a lot of open-ended questions, right? And then,
Exploratory,
huh?
exploratory type of question.
Exploratory type, correct. Exploratory research type, right? So you do that and you try to get to a pattern of responses that consistently tell you that there is something there is something not right, and there is some pain point which you can solve, right? Number one. Once you do that, then you start thinking about the solution. And solution, see, one problem, there is not one solution. There are multiple ways of solving a problem, right? Always. So the best way is to just iterate very quickly from a ideation perspective. Think of 5 different ways you can solve that problem, and then go back to the people that you've talked to and say, hey, if something like this was there, would this be interesting, right? Number one. If they say हाँ ठीक है, not a good idea. If they say huh, sounds interesting, I will try, a little better. If they say, oh my god, I can't, where were you all this time? I need it now. How much should I pay you? That is a good idea, right? So you have to look for that kind of a response. That basically means that what you're proposing is 10x better, 10 times better than what is out there, what they are, living with right now. So you have to find something that is that powerful, that is much better than what they're having right now, that than the next best alternative, they call it, right? So if the value is significantly higher, then you know that there is a definite thing that you're solving with a good solution, right? That is the second part. Third part is, when you're doing this, once you've done this primary research and you've arrived at something that you think is a solution, then you go and do some secondary research to figure out ki, does a market like this exist or not, right? Now, if you're not, like for example, Momo was very new in India, right? That time digital payments in stores did not exist. How did we do the sizing? For us, China was a proxy, right? And the US was a proxy. Google Pay was actually Google Wallet at that time, and they were experimenting the same thing in Australia. So they had pilots across the board. So we did a lot of secondary research, and we went and found out here how quickly was the adoption in China when this launched, right? And behavior can be very similar here also, right? So that was a proxy, at least from our mindset, because the problem exists, the same problem exists there. China is also a very high cash market, we were also a very high cash market. Digitization of payments is something that was happening with the mobile, and there are trends, technology trends were also happening, right? Smartphone was coming, India 3G had just launched, so high speed data was coming. There were a lot of things going in that favor, right? So do your secondary research to see if there are trends that are going to help you in that direction, right? If these three things are right, problem is there, it is severe, your solution is great, and it's a great, 10x better than what their alternative is. And third, it is something that can potentially become big from a secondary research perspective. Market seems like a large market. You can do market estimations and stuff, and you can also look at it from proxies of other companies in other geographies where this has happened. If that is convincing enough, then you have something that is ready to go. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have one more follow-up question.
Huh.
Sir, like you talked about the mobile digital payment kind of thing, it was very new. Sir, like how, sir, even to map the feasibility or technological feasibility required a lot of resources. Like now, if someone wants to introduce a payment app, it is easy because it can be powered through UPI. But when you first launched it, so it was very technologically new. And so, sir, even to achieve that, we need some kind of resources and a circle maybe. like you talked. So, sir, like if I have some idea, and even before going to the incubation stage, like we have to do a lot of things, like we have to first build MVP, and like we have to execute certain things. And before the incubation, there is no visibility of the startup. So that very a kind of pre-nursery hand holding, like how to execute that thing in the field.
No, so early stage, like for example, the reason why we were five co-founders was because this was a very complex problem to be solved, right?
Yes.
So one of the co-founders was a technology guy. He was a hardcore full stack engineer, and he built this out, right, as a MVP, which we could actually go and launch in a cafe or a pub. And by the way, it was also a disaster when we first launched. You'll never get it right the first time, right? So unfortunately, we wanted to launch on a weekday, but we launched on a weekend, and weekend, the rush in pubs, right? So, and what happened was their system crashed, right?
Oh,
So they were literally taking manual orders and running to the kitchen and giving the order there, because their entire kitchen order system had crashed because of us, right? So we have done those kind of mistakes also. Um, don't be afraid to make mistakes, number one. Number two, find people who are better than you at doing this, right? That CTO is clearly better than me in terms of coding, because I've never done coding, but we really wanted somebody who's an expert at that. And payments is no joke, right? Payments is quite
Yes.
robust in terms of a product that you need to build. So we got somebody who has experience in that, who has done payment stack before, and we got him as a CTO. We convinced him, you have to sell that idea to him. You have to tell him, hey, you know what, this has the potential to be big. Right. So we almost worked on him for 2 to 3 months. And by the way, one of our batchmates only introduced me to him. uh, yeah, Sonal had introduced me to him. He was Sonal's
Okay.
undergrad batchmate. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so we were looking for that person, and then we spent almost 2 months trying to convince him. He had built another tech product. We helped him sell it, and he got some money, and then we said, yeah, now we helped you, now you have to help us. That's how it started, right? So and then once he came on board and he saw the early traction, he believed in it, and then he joined us full time. Until then, he was part time. So yeah, matlab, this is uh, when you don't have a choice, you have to do whatever it takes. That's pretty much where it goes, right? But from
Okay.
where we were at that time to where we are now, right now the cost of prototyping is literally zero, right? Open Cloud, you have a working prototype within 24 hours.
Correct.
There is no excuse for not having a prototype, to be honest. You don't need to be a coder as well. It's all there, right? Of course, if you have to build scalable, resilient systems, that comes next. But पहले prototype तो बनाओ. MVP बनाने के लिए cost कुछ भी नहीं है, especially for a tech product. Yeah, cool. Let's move.
sure, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Ganesh.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ganesh. We will,
Thanks, Ron. Good question.
Rohan,
Thank you.
we will take up other questions, in the next, later. ठीक है बाकी
Sure,
तो
ma'am.
आपको हम लोग ही सिखा देंगे ठीक है और गणेश तो है ही ठीक है
Sure, ma'am.
no okay so now coming to yes we understand that Momoe was an innovative product in the sense for the Indian market ठीक है but again I don't really believe in much innovation execution is what it matters at the end of the day yeah this is what I have started believing in actually unless and until I'm believing or unless and until I'm building a rocket actually otherwise execution ही matter करता है आपको so now coming to flatheads Ganesh flatheads is in such a category जहाँ big giants है already Nike Adidas all were there and there is so unorganized market also गली गली में मिलता है right एटलीस्ट इन कोलकाता इफ यू कम आपको देखेगा गली गली में मिलता है ठीक है
True.
200 रुपया में भी मिलता है 2000 में मिलता है 20,000 में भी मिलता है सो in such a crowded market, first, why did you think of getting into it? Number one. Second, what innovation means? How did you build the storytelling? I know how you build the storytelling, but for the audience here, if somebody is thinking of getting into a crowded market, what kind of things that you have done that they can actually take those learnings and implement there? Can you just throw some light, on that too?
Sure.
Mhm.
So Flatheads was again, it was not our original idea. Um, we were talking to the founder of Color Plus. Everybody knows Color Plus? Yeah, Color Plus is
All the
a
ladies here must be knowing Color Plus. We Color Plus leggings are famous. Right, Nidhi?
no, that is Go Colors.
Oh, that is Go
Yeah,
Colors.
Color Plus is a men's smart casual dressing brand. They were the first to introduce chinos in the market, right? This was almost what 20 25 years ago, right? So yeah, menswear brand, as
Mm.
somebody said there. So um, when they came into the market, basically um, the trend was shifting from formals at workwear to semi-formals at workwear, right? Alan Solly had introduced something called Casual Fridays. Have you heard this? Casual Fridays? Dressing down Fridays or casual Fridays, they used to call it, in which you wouldn't dress up like a proper formal this thing. You could go semi-casual as well, right? That trend started picking up quite well, and Color Plus was at the forefront of that. They launched chinos, khakis basically, and that took off in the market. They also launched multicolored shirts. Before that, it was always black or navy blue pants, and it was always white, gray, black, and blue shirts. That's all, right? In the men's closet, that's all there was in the formal dressing. When it went to casual, they did a lot of innovations around, golf ball finishes, checks, multicolors, right? The multi patterns, whole bunch of things that they did, right? Checks and stripes and all that stuff. And that really went well, right? So we were talking to the founder there, and he said, "Yeah, look, when we were starting this, there was a clear trend of moving from formal to semi-formal. Now I see that a trend is moving from, business casual to casual. People are wearing jeans to work, right? People are wearing joggers to work. That has never happened before. Now people are willing to do that as well, right? Now, when that, like in jeans already hai, there are enough brands doing jeans, right? But what about footwear? When we were formals, we were wearing the, hush puppies, which was the formal shoes ka comfortable format, right? Yeah, Clarks, right? That was those were the two benchmarks of comfortable shoes. Then when it came to business casual, people had those slip-ons, loafers, right? That came out and that became very famous. You didn't have to lace up; it was just loafers. But now, when you go to casual, what is the equivalent of the hush puppies in the casual market? And that wasn't very well defined, right? That was a problem statement that we started looking at. People were either wearing sports shoes, but sports shoes ka they would buy like a black color or a dark blue color so that it looks sober enough for work, right? Or they would wear the same loafers and leather shoes with jeans, which will look weird, right? So that was pretty much the, people were making do with something. They didn't have a great work shoe as such, right, for casual dressing at work. And that was a problem that once he told us about this, we said, huh, this is interesting, let us go and do some research. And this is what we did. We went to almost 350 people. We had two interns with us as well. We were basically going to people's homes and taking pictures of their shoe closets. That's all we did, right? We didn't know whether it was going to be a woman's shoe, a man's shoe, what it was going to look like, nothing. It was just an idea that, hey, workwear में, casual में कुछ तो होना चाहिए. क्या है, देखते हैं. And once we did this 350 pictures of people's closets, right? We started noticing patterns. And the patterns was this, right? They were either wearing sports shoes or they were wearing still leather shoes, which was from the business casual and formal era. That once we found that out and we said, hey, what is that one shoe that you really like to wear to work? And it was invariably a non-athletic, like a Reebok or a Puma or a Nike. That's pretty much what it was, right? Skechers was barely there in the market at that time, right? Or a Bata, like the power shoes would be there, right? That was consistent. And North Star ka shoe hota tha. Those are the ones that we started seeing again and again. That they said that this shoe is the one that I wear every day to work. And then we started getting to why. What are the things that make it the shoe for you to wear every day, right? And one of the big things that came out was comfort, of course, right? How do you define comfort? Comfort बहुत बड़ी चीज है, right? Relaxo भी बोलता है चप्पल comfortable है, right? How do you define comfort? So then we went deeper into what does that comfort mean? When they wear it all day, what are the things that they like about it? Right? Or, absence of pain is comfort, maybe. I don't know. Right? So all those things we started doing deep research into. And that's when a lot of those exploratory research started happening. Right? So even in a big crowded market, when you start doing deeper research, there are insights that you will get which is not obvious to everybody else. Right? That's where we got this insight. And the third one was tropical climate. We are India में tropical climate है. And I personally have a huge problem of sweaty feet, right? Um, every time, like, I can't wear the socks for more than half a day. I have to change my socks. That's how bad it was always, right? So there needs to be a better solution for that. When it's summer in India, which is a lot of the time, what do you normally wear? You wear cotton, right? T-shirts. Generally, cotton is the most comfortable. Why is it comfortable and not polyester? Because it is breathable, right? It lets air in and out. It circulates, right? It's called breathable fabric.
स्वेटिंग नहीं होता है.
Sweating नहीं होता, and it absorbs the sweat, or the active whatever polyester and stuff, it releases the sweat out, right? So that is something that we wanted to bring into the shoe as well. How do we solve that problem was the second thing that we had. And that is a consistent problem with everybody, right? Sweaty feet in summer is a huge problem for everybody. So those are the two big things. So urban, casual workwear, it needs to be designed for work, and it has to be super comfortable so that you can wear it for more than 10 hours a day. And second, it has to be designed in such a way that it is suitable for the hot tropical climate of India, right? Most of the international brands were basically bringing international lines into India. They were not actively designing for the Indian use case. And that is what we did, right? So that was the insight. So even in a crowded market, spaces always exist. You just need to go and find it. You had to dig deep enough, right?
So Ganesh, one thing is very clear, till now is that you have done superb, research, superb customer understanding you have gathered, and then only you have actually designed the product, and that's how you have then only you have actually launched whatever the solution is,
Yeah. So
right?
Flatheads
So,
actually took almost a year and a half to launch. So
okay,
we spent the
so
first 8 months only doing research without even thinking about what shoe we are going to build, right? And then the remaining time we spent in factories going and prototyping. We were sitting in a factory prototyping shoes, right? So that is the amount of time it took for us to do it.
okay. So there is to all the students here actually, and also the budding entrepreneurs, there's a lot to learn from here, that how to do the customer research and how that will help you in building all your narrative also. So I believe your storytelling and your finding the niche help Flatheads to make, get a strong hold in the market. So Ganesh, one more question that I had, given here many are engineering students actually. So many may not be familiar that how to start up a D2C, brand. So given Flatheads was a D2C brand, so what is, simple term? What's your understanding of a D2C brand? Why somebody should actually choose to go the, D2C route instead of the traditional route? अच्छा है ना, रिटेलर को दे दिया, वही बेच दिया, तो क्या है, थोड़ा मार्जिन ही खाएगा और क्या, राइट?
True.
That is, so he takes the responsibility, he becomes my salesperson at the end of the day. So why not to go in that route, and why should somebody choose, the D2C route? Why did you think of going the D2C route, for the flatheads? So,
Um, I will tell you that the D2C terminology, D2C means direct to customer, right? Direct to consumer.
yes, yeah.
For people here who don't know. It is a little bit of a misnomer in the Indian context. In Indian context, I will call it an internet first brand. IFB is what I will call it instead of D2C. Internet first brand, right? In the US and a lot of those large developed markets, D2C makes sense because if you skip all the middlemen of distributor, retailer, blah blah blah, and you go directly to the consumer, where you open your own website and you sell directly to the consumer, that market itself is big enough for you to support a full business, right? Um, Places like India, we are still an evolving market, very early stage in terms of at least internet uh, shopping penetration, right? Things are getting better every year, but still, and pandemic helped it a lot, but we are still very early in that game, right? In terms of internet shopping penetration, e-commerce penetration. So, what I would say in the Indian context is launching online helps to quickly gauge what the customer pulse is because you're directly interacting with the customer, right? So if I'm selling, right? For example, it's a very simple difference between अपना खुद का दुकान खोल के मैं खुद बैठा हुआ गल्ले पे versus
Hmm.
मॉल में मैं I'm sitting in the I'm one brand in a mall in a
In a shopper
superstore or
stop.
supermarket. Yeah,
Hmm.
in a shopper stop, I'm one brand of many, right? And where
Hmm.
there is
Hmm.
another sales guy. The difference in learning of how quickly I can learn what the customer wants is much faster when I'm sitting in my own shop, right? Because every day I'm interacting with the customer. They will quickly tell you, hey, this is not good, this color is not great, ye quality theek nahi hai, right? That feedback comes very quickly. Being online and doing, launching things online gives you that flexibility of learning very, very quickly. And also because there are enough tools like Meta and Google who enable you to target the right customers with the right behaviors or needs that you are trying to solve for, marketing becomes easier and finding those customers becomes easier, right? Otherwise you are at the mercy of the mall कि यार वो mall
कब बेचेगा?
you are stuck with the location, right? So
Hmm.
offline versus online, this is the big benefit, right? I mean everybody knows this, but I'm just putting it out there. So number one, learn very quickly with customer feedback. Number two, find the right customer to target and target them very quickly, right? This is the advantage of launching internet first. Should you launch on your own website or should you launch on Amazon or Mintra, whatever, right? That entirely depends on what your customer behavior is. Or right now in quick commerce, for example, a lot of people are
Hmm.
doing
Hmm.
quick commerce as well. It is
Yes.
entirely dependent on what your customer behavior is. For example, if you're launching chips, potato chips, okay, what does the customer do currently for buying potato chips? You can answer that, Tanya.
I do Blinkit only.
There you go. So
My
you're buying
life
from Flipkart.
depends on Blinkit, but again, I may not be the customer
That's
also,
fine. So you buy on
because
Blinkit. Other people
yeah,
buy in probably stores, right? In
yeah,
supermarket. People buy it on
yeah.
Big Basket. People buy it on, I don't know, even Amazon has potato chips. They even buy it there.
गणेश, हमारे इधर कलकत्ता में ना गली गली में छोटा छोटा शॉप होता है।
हाँ, दुकान है, right?
उधर से दुकान से भी खरीदते हैं,
Correct. So
हाँ।
दुकान से भी खरीदते हैं, supermarket से खरीदते हैं,
खैर,
whatever, whatever, right? But have you ever gone to a website to buy a chips? Like, have you ever
नो,
gone to the Lay's
नेवर,
website to buy a Lay's chips?
नो, नेवर,
Never, right? In fact, the most powerful brands like Coke and Pepsi also. Have you ever gone to the Coke website to buy a Coke? You never have.
नेवर, नेवर, या,
So, y- the best way to get early traction in the market is to mimic customer behavior and follow that. If the customer is shopping in specific channels, go and put your product there so that you are visible to your target customers in that channel, right? If you are creating a fashion brand, if you are right, where are your customers typically browsing? They are browsing on Instagram, right? And hence fashion and Instagram go very well, right? Because it's a very
यस,
visual platform and stuff like that. So it comes very well. And hence the discoverability of a fashion brand is much better on Instagram. And if there is visually, if it is interesting, people will come and watch and they may even come and buy. And there you can direct them to your website. So people are okay with going to individual websites and buying fashion stuff as well, but they will never go to buy that. They'll never go to buy chips from one website, right? So you need to understand what the customer behavior is and you need to plug yourself into that behavior. And again, I'm not talking all customers, I'm only talking your target audience, right? Think about your target audience, where they shop, and try to be there. That is what I would say.
okay. So there is a narrative that also we keep on hearing, Sir Ganesh, that going to social media too early, you know. So right now there is a kind of thought process that comes to even my mind. अरे 5,000 रुपया दे देंगे तो कैंपेन हो जाएगा, व्यूज मिल जाएगा, कुछ कस्टमर भी कॉल तो एटलीस्ट कर लेंगे, right? So what is your take on that? What should be my, if you have, if you can actually tell us, some budget to start off with to get your first 100 customers, what should be my approach?
I
You can take
honestly think
any
that
product. You can take any product and give an example actually.
I think it
Starting
doesn't
from
matter
the,
what product you're starting out with. Your first 100 customers have to be offline where you yourself are talking to the customers. There is no excuse to that at all. Um, you will have to go talk to them, explain the problem and the solution that you're providing to the problem, understand their reaction, and once they experience your product, you need to get the feedback saying, hey, मैंने ये promise किया था कि ये problem solve करूंगा. Are you actually solving it or not? You need that feedback from the customer. That you have to do with the first 100 customers. You have to do it on your own. Unless you understand that deeply, you will not be able to figure out whether you have product market fit or not, and whether the customer is really valuing what you are trying to tell them. You think that you're solving a problem in a way, but the customer may not see it, right? So that is something that you really need to figure out. You need to figure out the pulse of the customer. That feedback is very, very critical, right? Always first 100. I'm saying if you're a fashion brand, go out there, go to a flea market, put your stall and get, people to try out your product. Once they try it, ask for feedback. Get their phone number, ask for feedback, right? Our first set of shoes, we actually went in our own car and delivered to our first 100 customers, right? We went to their house, we got them to open it, try it, and got their feedback right there, right? And then we followed up 7 days later, calling them and asking them, hey, how was it, right? All of us, all founders, including the tech guy, were out there doing this, right? Um, that is very, very critical in terms of this thing, right? Like, I'll give you a classic example. There's a guy here, he runs a brand called Fuel, Fuell. It's basically a energy bar, like a yoga bar, right? That kind of a brand.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It also has proteins and stuff. I don't know, some interesting stuff he makes. For the last 6 months, I have seen him in every weekend walk. Bangalore has a lot of lakes, and people like to walk around those lakes.
Yes.
Every
Yeah.
weekend, he is at least one of those lakes doing sampling of the product with people who come for the early morning walk, right? Because that is his target audience. People
That
who
is his
are
target audience. Yeah. Health
fitness
conscious people.
conscious, fitness conscious people who
Mm.
take the pains to walk, get up on a weekend and go to that park. That's perfectly his target. He's identified that, and he's there every time. And I have been to multiple parks. It's not just one place. या तो वो रहेगा
Mm.
या फिर उसके team members रहेंगे. Always they have one table at the entrance and they will be giving samples out. And when you're walking out, they will ask you how was it. Immediately they're
Mm.
getting feedback. They're getting your phone numbers and they will say, hey, I'm sending you a sample pack. You just tried one. Why don't you try our sample pack? Sample pack का मैं आपको QR भेजता हूँ, so that he will get you to go to Swiggy and buy it, right? वो QR code leads to his Swiggy product page, Instamart product page, basically, right? So this is the hustle that is required, right, in order to go and get your first customers. There is no two way about it. I mean, if you, it's not just me. You go and read Paul Graham's "Do Things That Don't Scale." He says exactly the same thing, right? Paul Graham is the Y Combinator guy. Uh,
Mm.
right? He says exactly the same thing. You have to understand whether your product is actually meant, doing the thing that you are promising or not, that you think it's doing for the customer or not, and that has to be done in a non-scalable method. After that is where, once you do that, right, when you're pitching to the customer as well, you will try three different ways of saying the same thing, right? One will
Yes.
resonate better than the other. That is also a practice, right? And that will actually define what you will put in your meta ad later, your Facebook ad, Instagram ad, right? So a lot of that also happens. Learnings of what works and what doesn't work
Yes.
for running your scale campaigns, right? So first do this and then take that playbook. Once you've established the playbook of this is how to best sell and this is how to get the right feedback and this is the right target audience, then translate that into digital and run your Facebook campaigns. That's what I would say.
This is beautifully said, Ganesh. To all the students here, actually, I have experience. I have seen Ganesh standing in front of tea stalls and trying to, make people use Momoe. So from, leaving his job and then standing, in front of a tea stall, it takes a lot of courage, Ganesh, and hats off to you. So we are just nearing to
Nay,
the
so
end of.
that you look, every entrepreneur is a salesman first, like it or not. You think you're a
Yes.
techie? No, you're not. You're a sales guy, right? You have to convince your, you know, team to come and join you. So you have to sell yourself and the idea and the dream to get people to come and join you. You have to sell your product or your solution to your customer. You have to, sell the idea and the vision to your investors to get money. Every day you are only selling, and if you're not selling, you're not doing the right thing for your early stage startup, trust me, right? So um, that is the first thing you have to learn. And if you have to be a salesman, you have to have thick skin. दो तीन गाली तो खाना ही पड़ेगा, right? दो तीन नहीं, बहुत ज्यादा गाली खाना पड़ेगा. Right? There is no two ways about it.
Oh. So, Ganesh, what had been your biggest motivation in your entrepreneurship journey so far? So, कब लगता है यार कुछ किया है? मतलब, what is your biggest motivation?
Yeah, for me, the reason why I went into consumer startups, before that I was all B2B, right, in my corporate
Mm-hmm.
career, is because this whole concept of the buying behavior of customers is a fascinating question that I keep trying to solve, right? Um, if you look at it, right, a company, when they buy, it is a B2B transaction and it is very rational. They have a technical qualification and then they have a
Yes.
budget qualification. अगर तुम उसमें अप्रूव हो गए तो तुम्हारा आइटम बिक जाएगा. A customer never buys that way. A customer always buys emotionally, right? And that
Exactly.
is key. The emotion, the trigger, the motivation for a customer to buy something always changes, right? What works today will not work tomorrow. For the same product, for the same problem, that emotion changes for the customer as well. And hence it is something that is like a holy grail. Like you will keep chasing that, but it'll never be solved. The lock will change as soon as you find a key, right? And that fascinates me. I am a consumer marketer, and that's what I really like to do. Right? So solving for how do you make a customer vote for your product with their own hard-earned money is a big challenge, and that is something that keeps me motivated all the time, right? So that's what I do.
Ganesh, the last question, is that when, Shark Tank, that page became viral. Anyways, we always so proud of you, actually. Somebody from us went there and it became an India sensational thing in India. But what was your experience as such, and did it change you as a person, as a founder? Did it change any of your perspective?
Um,
That's the last question, today.
yeah,
After that, we will take up, all the students' question. Take it.
sure. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've talked about this enough, but fundamentally, uh, while everybody sees it as a big TV show and all that stuff, guess what? You are talking to other entrepreneurs who build businesses. चाहे उनको जितना भी तुम गाली दो, they have built their own businesses, right? The sharks out there. Uh, the
Yes,
one
all
big
the
learning,
respect.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely,
Oh,
respect.
yeah.
One has already gone IPO, the other one is on its way.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
so they ultimately understand they have also gone through the same journey as every other entrepreneur has, and I can't think of any entrepreneur who has not gone through that point of, you know, down but not out, whatever, right? So where you are absolutely in the dumps and you really have to pick yourself up and pick, come back from survival, like from survival time. And we've
Yes.
been through that. Like Flatheads wasn't the first time, we've done that before also. So that emotion is something that they also resonate with. They've also been through that. I mean, in fact, Aman, was building something. He dropped it. He went back to a job, and then he came back and then launched Boat later, right?
Hmm.
So those are the kind of things that are common to everybody, right? So uh, even so that was the one big learning, right? So effectively, if you are talking the same entrepreneur language, सबको struggle तो सबका है, right? That is one.
Struggle सबका है, हाँ.
And once that episode went viral, one thing I realized was that, when you are in a startup journey, you are in a very small micro environment, right? It's you, your team, your product, whatever, whatever. You
Kind
are,
of a bubble, you can say.
it's like your own bubble, right? And you don't have the time and the energy to go and interact with a lot of other people outside also when you're so busy with your work. The
Hmm.
problem that happens when that happens is you always think that in case you are in trouble, if something doesn't work and you are struggling, which happens a lot, right? In an entrepreneurial journey, you always think that, yaar, ye mere sath hi kyun ho raha hai? Why is it, why am I the unlucky one? Guess what? Every entrepreneur is going through this, right? And when that episode went viral, you don't know the number of people who reached out to me and said, yaar, I understand because I've gone through this, right? Um, that was a big learning for me, right? It just takes that one reach out to the startup community and say, hey, I am in this situation right now, right? A lot of people will come and help. A lot of people will come and sit there and just listen. That itself is a big deal, right? There is that emotional support ecosystem exists. You just need to go and reach out for it. Otherwise, it's a very lonely journey. In general, entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey, right? So those are the things that I really learned when after the Shark Tank episode happened, right? So yeah.
It actually resonated with many people, Ganesh. It's not only the entrepreneurs, whoever has been struggling. So thank you for such a lovely episode. Actually, that's all I can say. Now let's take up the question first. Abhinav, are you there? Abhinav Dayma, can you
Yes,
unmute yourself?
yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hi, Ganesh sir.
Hi.
I'm from Praxis Business School, pursuing MBA from here. So my question from you is, how important do you think it is for a startup to have at least one founder with prior experience or expertise in the industry they are entering?
Not required. As I said, if you are able to assemble a team of experts, sorry, there's some echo. Can you mute yourself? If you, yeah. If you're able to assemble a team that has that capability or the expertise to do the stuff that you are not able to as a founder, it is no problem at all, right? And frequently we have done this, right? Both me and Utkarsh were not techies, but we built a tech product, right? We were not people who were experienced in high value sales, but we got people who were channel experts on Amazon, for example, who could very quickly launch a product and scale it on Amazon. Um, so as long as you are able to find the right people who are as motivated as you to come and work with you and believe in your idea and execute with you, but they are better at what they do than what you are, it is perfectly fine. There is no necessity for the founder to have all the experience. You cannot be superhuman. There are so many things that we need to be done. It is not humanly possible for one founder to do the entire thing anyways.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Next question is from Abhi. Abhi, can you unmute yourself and ask the question, please? There are many questions that has come, Ganesha.
Yeah, I saw that. There's almost 10, 15 questions there. Yeah.
Abhi, are you there? Okay, let's move to the next question by Afnan. Afnan,
Yep, I'm here.
yeah,
Hi,
please.
Ganesh. Hi,
Yeah,
everyone.
Afnan.
So I did a follow-up on the points that you were mentioning about marketing. My question is more around the lines that if I'm building a service-based product, more towards the elderly customers,
Hmm,
if I want to penetrate into the healthcare industry, then I'm trying to build a application-based service, just like how an Uber works.
hmm.
But how do I go about acquiring my customer? Because over there, I don't have a product to sell them, like a tangible one. It's more of a service thing. So how do I get into or build up a story for the customer to buy?
So I'm working with a will writing brand right now, an estate planning brand called
Okay.
Asan Will. So they help you write your will. So it's a service, right? And they have lawyers who help you draft the will and stuff like that. Classic problem. Most of the people who write the will are beyond 50 years old. Um, that is when you get the realization that "Arre, theek hai, I should do something about this." Um, so their marketing is a mix of online, more Facebook than Instagram, for example, because a lot of the elderly people are on Facebook as well, um, and a lot of offline. So they do a lot of on ground seminars in like elderly care places, in apartment complexes, in corporates. A lot of those things they do where their lawyers actually go and do presentations of what it means, what will writing means, and why is it important, right? It's as important as writing an insurance, getting an insurance policy, for example, right? So they do a lot of that. In fact, even online, they do a lot of webinars, right? Um, and their marketing is more around lead generation. It is not for people to come and it will never happen that the customer will come to your website, fill out all their details at once and get a will ready made. ऐसा कभी होता नहीं है. They will have to talk to a lawyer. They will have to get some consultation कि क्या होता है, क्यों होता है, what are the things that need to be done. Then you have to do an inventory. There's a whole process to that, right? It's a service. And hence what the marketing is primarily to generate leads. You are interested in writing a will. That is the first step. Once that is there, then you educate them what does it need to be done. So that is all heavily on calls. So they have a team of
Right.
calling people who actually talk to the customers, explain what needs to be done, tell them the pricing, and they tell them this is why the pricing is this. Right? Some people may not be able to leave their home, so they actually have home visits as well enabled. So those are the kind of things they talk about. And then once the customer is convinced, then the payment happens and the service happens, right? So it is a lead generation marketing engine, right? Online plus offline, they do both. um, Not only that, they do a lot of partnerships. For example, with senior citizen apps, there are enough of them like Khayal and stuff like that.
Yep.
Where they do a lot of webinars, and they sponsor a lot of events that Khayal does. So they are present in those kind of events as well. Right. So those are the other partnerships. They partner with wealth advisors, where if you are an investment advisor who is advising somebody who is getting their wealth to be managed by you, then as part of the wealth management, wills are also an integral part of that, right? So they partner with wealth advisors to go to the customers. So there are those kind of channels, indirect channels as well, through which you go. So effectively, the whole point is find out where your customer is, where they hang out, what is their behavior, for your context, right? And
Yes.
hence, and they do a lot of Google ads as well, right? When people are searching for insurance, they also show, hey, by the way, you're doing insurance, but did you know that it is completely useless to have just a nominee unless you actually have a will where that amount actually goes to the person you intended to go to, right? So they do
Right.
advertising along with that. So there are proxy advertising as well, right? So there are a lot of things like that you can do, but you need to understand the context in which your customer is and how do you best reach the customer, and you need to do a marketing mix from there.
Okay. That's perfect. Thanks a lot, Ganesh. That gives me a clarity on how to tackle this service aspect of the thing. So, yep. Thank you.
Super. Welcome.
So we have Asha here who has a question. Asha, please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Hello, Ganesh sir.
Hi,
Are
Asha.
you comfortable in Hindi? Actually, I'm not comfortable in English. I
अरे
can
चलेगा.
understand. हाँ, चलेगा ना?
हाँ.
Actually, my brand name is Title Fashion Studio, and we are a sustainable fashion brand. हम लोग एक sustainable fashion brand चलाते हैं जो यहाँ की local embroidery और upcycling वे पे काम करे textile waste को लेके. तो हम इतने दिन समझ नहीं आता था कि हम D2C ब्रांड है या B2C ब्रांड है. ये बहुत बड़ा कंफ्यूजन है. तो ये आप मुझे थोड़ा समझाएंगे कि B2C और D2C ये दोनों में मतलब अंतर कहाँ पे है?
यार कोई अंतर नहीं है. ये वीसी इकोसिस्टम नहीं, ये सब जार्गन फेंका हुआ है वहां पे. अल्टीमेटली यू आर एन अपरेल ब्रांड हु इज यू आर ए क्लोथिंग ब्रांड जो कस्टमर को यू आर सेलिंग सस्टेनेबल फैशन. दैट्स इट. अब
हाँ, that's it.
आपको यू वांट टू कॉल योरसेल्फ B2C, यू वांट टू कॉल योरसेल्फ D2C, यू वांट टू कॉल योरसेल्फ इंटरनेट ब्रांड, व्हाटएवर, इट डजंट मैटर.
सिर्फ
ये सब
बिकना चाहिए.
बस एग्जैक्टली. राइट. the the whole, as I said, right, in India, I don't think D2C is purely something that is scalable yet. Right. D2C is direct to consumer, which is only selling on your website and nothing else. That is what D2C truly is, where you're cutting out all the middlemen and you are directly interacting with your customer. You're directly selling to your customer, right? That could be an individual shop of yours, which is an exclusive brand outlet, or it could be a website, which is the only place you're selling. इंडिया में वो होता नहीं है. आपको अमेजोन पे भी रहना पड़ेगा, आपको मिंत्रा पे भी रहना पड़ेगा. वो मार्केट प्लेस पे तो होता ही है, राइट? आपको ऑफलाइन जाना है तो आपको मल्टी ब्रांड स्टोर में रहना पड़ेगा, और अपने वेबसाइट पे तो बेचना ही है, राइट? सो यू आर अ कंज्यूमर ब्रांड, दैट इज क्लियर. सो यू आर अ बिजनेस टू कंज्यूमर. B2C तो हुआ, D2C तो नहीं है. मतलब लोग बोलते हैं D2C, लेकिन सबको पता है कि वो D2C इज नॉट something that is feasible in India, right? So you're a B2C brand, good enough.
By the
Thank
way,
you, sir.
Asha and their team is doing a lot of good work here actually. They have their own fashion shows and all.
Wow. Nice.
And still they don't have a very strong website. They are making their website. So their offline presence is humongous, that I must say. Next, coming to the next question is Ritika
Uh,
Pal.
Hold on.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
Asha,
you, Kavya. Yes,
you
sir.
should look at this website called Gatha.
Katha. Yes.
I'll just type it there. I
Sure.
think it's called gatha.com. GAATHA। ये एक एनआईडी अहमदाबाद के अलम का वेबसाइट है। um,
हाँ.
ये क्या करते हैं कि दे एक्चुअली showcase the true makers, the weavers and the artisans who are actually making products, which is fashion, whatever, right? And वहां से so they actually start with a film of the weaver at work, right? And then from there they tell the story of the evolution of the sari that weaver is making. It's a beautiful website, right? You should just look at the way they do the storytelling. Similarly, Jaipur Rugs is another one. They do a
Sure. Sure.
brilliant job
Right,
of
sir.
doing storytelling, right? So especially when you're in this space, there are a lot of interesting inspirations that you can draw from.
हाँ, एकदम एकदम. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Coming to the next question, Ganesh, we are taking all the questions one by one. I hope that's not conflicting with your schedule, no?
No, go ahead.
थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है Ritika Pal, are you there, please? Can you switch on your mic? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Hello,
Ritika.
sir. Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone. My question is about we are preparing one e-learning startup that's called Logram education app. My question is about at the early stage, which is more crucial for an e-learning startup, content creators or strong technology team?
Your core content for whatever curriculum that you're designing for is the core, right? That has to be very, very robust. The way of delivery, the method of delivery has to be very, very robust. That's the first thing. If you're I mean, Dr. Jishnu is here, right? If you're starting a college, sir, the first thing you need is good professors, right? That is the non-negotiable, right? So first get your content right, and the delivery mechanism right. After that, you can figure out the way the technology can build around that, right? The method of delivery dictates what the technology is going to be. And yeah, once you get into technology, you have to build it well, right? But to begin with, I would say content is first.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
If you
Welcome.
if you kindly allow me, then I can share few words with you. With the
Yes,
help.
sir.
May I?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, myself, Dr. Jishnu Chakraborty. Actually, I am from Camellia Group of Institutions, and last week we had a great event along with the association with the startup Pathsala, and some of our projects had already been identified. The prototypes have been identified by Startup Ki Pathsala for venturing and incubation, all these things, and we are already in the process of startup journey. So first of all, thanks to Startup Pathsala on behalf
Thank you, sir.
of institutions. Provadda, Srinjoy, all are there, and Titliya ki Asha ma'am is there. Yeah, can you remember me? All?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we remember you, sir.
Yeah. So we have a diversified field of ideas, so many prototypes in different corners, aspects of the societies, starting from the chemical laboratories to the hospital, medical appliances, tech, deep techs, so many things, ideas, they are there. So my immediate question is that, yes, incubation and scale up, from starting from the incubation and mentoring to scale up, there is a huge gap. It's a hell task of business to make that convert into the product. As we are right now, prototype is ready, at least TRL level 4 or 5. So we are now waiting for that particular time when it will come into the higher vitality product, that kind, what we call HMB, that we say. So that gap, how can it be managed? within the short period of time?
So there are something called accelerators that exist for the next step between incubation and scaling. There are something called accelerators that exist there, and early stage investments also fall into that category if they want to raise investments, right?
Capital is essential.
Yeah. Typically, early stage, even angels now. There are a lot of angel networks which are quite active. In the last 5 years, I've seen a lot coming up, right? So there, once you have a prototype and early traction, at least some semblance of interesting traction that is available, some good early customer feedback, you can actually start getting accelerators, to help you out, right? Just like incubators, there are accelerators where you can go. What's that called? It's called Antler. Our senior, who is the Urban Ladder founder, Rajiv Srivatsa, he runs it, right? So stuff
Okay.
like that. NSR Cell also is not only NSR Cell is IIM Bangalore. It's not only an
Yes,
incubator,
yes.
but they are also an accelerator. They handhold people not only at the incubation stage but also during the acceleration stage, right? And there are many of those that are out there that you need to just find depending on your vertical and stuff like that. There are enough of.
Ganesh,
Yeah.
yeah, Ganesh Prabhat this side.
Hi.
Actually, in East or especially in Calcutta or East, this facility or this platform, it was almost nil, you can say.
Yeah.
So as a startup ki Pathsala, basically we are building this platform where we can help the students to take the journey from ideation to execution.
Got it.
So this process we have already started. Dr. Jishnu is from Camellia. We also had a session in Camellia, and we had shortlisted few students from Camellia for the next level. Correct, sir?
Yes,
Huh?
yes, absolutely.
So wherever we are doing, this is our first year, you can say, and we are now connected with almost 10, 12 colleges. And from there, we are shortlisting around whatever, based on their ideas, based on the market fitment. So we are shortlisting the candidates from the colleges for the next level of mentorship and where we can help them to bring their product market ready.
Yeah.
Then post that, then again we have a program where we can help them support with the funding. So that the initial level funding, and because we are also lining up with the list of investors, small investors, big investors. Mostly in this case, there will be all the small investors.
Correct.
Right?
Mostly these will be angels.
Mostly these will be angels. We are not now connecting with the VCs, but yes, we have a panel of VCs also along with us. But we are now focusing on the small investors. So we have created an ecosystem where we have almost more than 600 plus investors with us.
Wow.
So now currently what we believe ki getting an investment, I think it is a very easy, unless you have a strong business model. But getting a right business model is it's not easy actually. People are there, people are ready, people are there readily, they are ready to invest, they have money, excess money, what we unfortunately do not have. So, but they are not getting the right business model, right scalable, the committed people, right, the committed founders. So actually, this is a platform where we are helping out. We are now connecting with the roots, and these college students are basically the roots. From there, they start thinking to do something unique, and that we actually call a startup, right? So that's at a very initial stage. Yes, we will be building this. Don't compare Calcutta with Bangalore. So Bangalore,
I know.
yeah, Bangalore, where in every next door you will find an investor and a new startup.
नेक्स्ट जोन नहीं, अभी गणेश मॉर्निंग वॉक करते करते ही इन्वेस्टर्स एंड
ठीक है, but
वीसीस को पकड़ रहे हैं, ठीक है, तो
नहीं,
दैट्स अ डिफरेंट लेवल.
we are actually मतलब कुछ सर्वे कर रहे थे, what are the data, मतलब how many startups actually enrolled in Bengal versus in other states. and there is a x gap. Matlab, it is not a percentage, it's a x. Matlab 4x, 5x, 6x. And matlab, so this is a difference. So
Got it.
basically, since we are we are connected with the people like you. So this is our strength. So, and actually we are trying to pass on your knowledge, matlab knowledge from the people like you to the actually the experienced guys, so that at least they can start learning from initial stage.
Nice, this is very cool. The whole ecosystem development is hard to do, and
Very hard to
you've
do.
taken up that cause. That's great.
So,
But it is required, yeah, and it will develop. Matlab, it is a journey, right? It
yeah.
won't happen overnight.
It is a
Yeah,
journey.
Bangalore
Yeah.
started with Infosys and Wipro.
And fortunately and luckily we can say we are getting very good response from the pupils like Dr. Jishnu, matlab, from all institutes. I am not quoting a single name, and everyone are welcoming us very warmly. Please come to. So we have actually started at a very wrong time. That is everybody having their own exam. So next year and onwards, we will make a calendar. We will start in a very structured way. So you can say it's a starting. So and in your startup, आप जानते ही हो, start always वो थोड़ा हौच-पौच से चालू होता है. And start yours, keep on learning over the journey.
Yeah, yeah. Arey, one last thing I would definitely want to tell the students here, right? At least early stage entrepreneurs, early age entrepreneurs, not early stage entrepreneurs.
Early age.
Look, almost everybody is into some sort of stock market investing. Yeah, everybody understands the basics of stock market investing. जब आप stock
Understand or not, but invest तो करते हैं.
हाँ, awareness तो है ना.
हाँ.
When you go and invest in the stock market, do you invest all your money in one stock?
No, distribute.
Never.
No. What do you distribute in across? How do you build your portfolio?
Different sectors choose कर लेते हैं,
आप
right?
different sectors choose
Large
करते हो,
cap, small cap, mid cap.
Correct. Mutual funds choose करते हो, आप gold में डालते हो, आप money market instruments में डालते हो. There are a whole bunch of things that you do, right? So there are less risky instruments, more risky instruments, blah blah blah, and you build a portfolio out of it, right? Real estate में डालते हो वगैरह वगैरह. Now, what does a VC do, or an angel investor who is investing in startups? What do? They do the same thing. They go and evaluate startups. They have a fund of X crore rupees. They will go and invest in at least 20 to 30 startups with that money, right? And then they will see which ones are building better, and then they will do a follow-up investment into the ones that are doing well. Okay? That is typically the journey, right? Think of yourself as an entrepreneur. What should be your best approach? In life, I am saying that why don't you build a portfolio approach to starting up as an entrepreneur, right? Completely different way of thinking about career planning. Okay, career आपके पास 40 साल है, right? VC के पास 12 साल होते हैं, 10 से 12 साल जो money return करना होता है. That's the venture capital cycle, right? You have 40 years of your career. If you're starting today as an entrepreneur, when you're a student, when you're 20 years old, 21 years old, whatever, you have 40 years to do something. Would you spend all your time and energy investing in one idea, which you think will become the unicorn, which will go IPO, whatever? Or will you try 10 different things, out of which 2 will do very well, and others may fail? What is a better approach?
इतना hedge risk hedging the risk.
It's not just hedging. It is a journey, right? As an entrepreneur, you can't get things right the first time. And the entire world is against you. You are fighting a battle every day, right? And hence the chances of a startup succeeding is very low in general. You're fighting the odds at every this thing. It's almost like a gamble, right? When you're doing that, in order to maximize the chances of success over a 40-year time period, you have to have multiple aims at goal. एक गोल मारने से कोई फायदा नहीं है. और वो एक गोल चला नहीं तो then you will say यार my life is over. No, sorry. Resilience is the most important aspect of an entrepreneur. You will have to have multiple shots at goal. That is the only way you will score a goal at least once, right? So think of it as a portfolio. You build one startup now. It might be the worst startup which you will cringe when you look back at it 10 years later, but it's fine. You give it a shot. You will make a lot of mistakes, but every mistake you will learn. The second time you do it, you will make a little less mistakes. By the time you're doing your third or fourth startup, which is probably, 10 years from now, you're probably getting something very good and you're getting something very right. That is the beginning of your first shot on goal, right? And then you have 30 years to make it perfect. You have enough time for you to build and scale ventures. But पहले 10 साल experiment करो यार. It's okay. It could be a ridiculous idea. Go and do it. There is nothing that substitutes experiments and learning by doing. Entrepreneurship is learning by doing. थियरी आप ये बिजनेस स्कूल में पढ़ के कोई फायदा नहीं है. पढ़ो, it will help you, but nothing substitutes actually going and doing things on the ground. Do it. That is the only way you will build your portfolio, and that is the only way you will eventually become a successful entrepreneur. I think I started too late.
We will take two more questions, Ganesh.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
एक
yeah,
मिनट तानिया,
Nidhi.
एक मिनट
Yes.
तानिया.
Hmm.
I am looking at one question कि if we are developing a tech-enabled service aimed towards serving senior citizen, it is from Afnan.
Yeah. I answered that question.
अच्छा,
Okay.
I
where
already
from?
spoke to
In
Afnan.
which college you are from, Afnan?
So sir, I am from UEM,
अच्छा,
University of Engineering and Management.
okay. We have scheduled on 6 December.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Good thing.
Nidhi has a question. Nidhi, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Hello, Ganesh sir. It's wonderful listening to you, listening to someone who is actually experienced things. So I just want to tell, I have just created like you said, every entrepreneur has a very individual and a lonely journey. So we have just hosted a founders meetup where it was a safe space for people to speak their hearts out for founders. So it's a mental health organization, and same I'm gonna do with students because they go for competitive exams and it's the same experience. It's a very lonely journey all the time. So I was just asking that, sir, you just said that Flatheads had a very different material and compared to the normal shoes. So what's the price gap and what's the material difference that our customers actually willing to pay for it?
So that's an answer, unfortunately, which we could never get to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we never hit scale. We were trying to sell shoes during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Bad idea. But uh, broadly, um, what we were trying to make was, sweat-friendly footwear. We called it
Mm-hmm.
socks for your feet. We called it t-shirts for your feet, right?
Okay.
So it is almost as comfortable as a t-shirt. So we were using bamboo blends. We were using linen blends. All these are very tropical friendly fibers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which wick the moisture and take it out of your body. So cotton blend with these fabrics, but it has to be tough enough.
Mm-hmm.
टी-शर्ट में और जूतों में बहुत फर्क है, right? There's a lot more scuffing that happens, a lot more rough stuff that happens with the shoe, and hence you do different things in terms of the weave and in terms of the knit and stuff like that to make sure that it has that scuffing resistance as well. So that was the major innovation that we were doing in terms of materials. It wasn't the
Okay.
usual polyester or leather or whatever. It
It
was
comes
all.
under sustainable products.
It just happened to be sustainable, but our intent wasn't to go into sustainability. Our intent was to
Okay.
go into tropical friendly products, sweat
Okay.
wicking materials. And it just so happens that sweat wicking materials are natural materials
Mm-hmm.
in general, right? We also had polyester line, by the way. So we had just like your gym t-shirt, right? That is active
Mm-hmm.
moisture wicking. So we had the same technology in the shoe as well. So that line was also there. So we were not
Okay.
necessarily sustainable all the way, but most of our products were in that zone, right?
Okay. So it was
So
costly.
it was expensive
Okay.
because it's a material that generally people don't mass manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
And the material itself is expensive. The yarn itself is very expensive.
Okay.
And then we had to do the dyeing and all, and the knitting techniques, the regular machines, because these are natural fibers, right? They're not, polyester is, because it's a synthetic fiber, it's uniform thickness throughout,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's very easy to knit in a machine.
Okay.
But natural fibers have irregular thickness, and hence वो
Mm-hmm.
अटक जाता है. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to calibrate the machines differently in order to
Mm-hmm.
support that kind of materials itself, right? So we had to actually work with the factories to, customize the machine itself for making our kind of products, and that is all expensive, right?
Okay.
So and hence the products were expensive. I honestly think that if I had to go and correct something um, uh, while I'm doing flatheads again, I would definitely go and work on the price point first.
Okay.
Um, as I said, we were solving the problem, but were we solving it to that 10x, which was so apparent? It wasn't. That was a big problem that we ended. Look, I'll not be, I'll be honest enough to admit that, yeah, in order to justify the price point, I don't think we were solving that problem in such a great way. Right? If you have to justify the expensive price point, and by the way, prices can come down, but prices come down with volume. It's economies of scale, right? Ultimately, in manufacturing, it's always economies of scale. But our problem was we could never hit scale. Pandemic mein the, तो not enough people were buying, and hence we were not able to get to the scale manufacturing as well. So that was the issue broadly, and hence we stayed expensive for a long time. So
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it was wonderful
Yeah.
learning from you. Yeah.
Thanks, Nidhi. Yeah, Paramita, are you there? Paramita Das. Acha. Let's, okay. There is somebody called Anshul. Anshul, are you there, I believe?
Yeah, I'm
You're
here.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, hi Ganesh. So I'm the founder of Tails United Company. We are a startup building products for the pet industry. So we have identified a market gap and an existing problem. So we are in the process of developing that particular product. But the main challenge we think is there is not a market for this product as of moment. It may be involving, but there is no market. So how do we get about the go-to-market strategy?
यार market नहीं है तो फिर क्यों? Why are you doing this?
It's a
Sorry, I'm being
potential.
blunt, but why?
Yeah, so I will give you example. So 70% of pet parents, dog parents, do not give their pets pet food. They give ghar ka khana, right? But it lacks the essential nutrients, and that we are trying to solve. कि आप pouches में आप pour कीजिए and it will cover its all micronutrients. So existing products एक दो companies है इनके जो supplement करते हैं, but उतना mainstream नहीं है. So
Which
there
is
is
fine.
no, yeah.
The market exists. All pets have to eat, right? The market exists, right?
Okay.
And the parents, ultimately, the pet parents are concerned about the nutrition, whatever, the health of the pet as well, right?
Yeah. But the
Now,
awareness and education is not there.
yes, that you have to do. That is what marketing is about, right? So you need to create that awareness first, right? What the kind of things that help in this industry? Go and do research on the nutrients and protein supplements and that industry, right? There is a proxy there. You go and look at what they do. There are trust factors with certifications and lab tests and all that things that they keep advertising, saying,
Yeah.
hey, this is this is genuinely proven to improve the health of blah blah blah, right? So all those things help, right? So build trust that way and talk about it from a certification perspective. Talk more scientifically. Show examples of things that have actually worked. When find
Hmm.
testimonials of customers whose pets have used it and the pet's health is good, that they are happy with, right? Finding your target audience. Your initial customer is a pet parent who thinks more deeply about the pet's health than a regular pet parent. It's not every pet parent, right?
Hmm.
So if I have to define a persona of that, it is almost like um a pet as a child kind of a
Yeah.
persona, right? So they are taking care of the pet as if it's a real child of theirs, and hence they would be more particular about what they feed to the kid, right? That you know, so you have to find that customer. It is not any and every customer, right?
Hmm.
So if you're able to get that as your early audience and then impress upon that hey, I know that you want this. This is a problem that you're facing and here is a great answer, right? It doesn't have to be the the kibbles or whatever
Hmm.
that you have to give.
Yeah.
You can actually add all the nutrients in your existing stuff that you're giving to the pet itself, right? So that is the way that you would try to define a go to
Hmm.
market is what I would say, right?
Got it.
Is
Got it.
that helpful?
Yeah,
So
definitely. So we
define
have.
your customer persona a lot more sharply, number one.
Hmm.
Initially, it will be a very small core persona that you will hit, and then later on you can widen, right? When awareness builds, because they will be evangelists for you, because they like their pet so much, they will be evangelists for you if it works, right? They will go to the larger crowd and start telling people about it. That's how your scale starts, right? And then you can start going to the larger market. But start with a beachhead. Start with a small,
Hmm.
narrow, focused customer audience, which will actually value what you're giving.
Got it. Thanks, Ganesh.
Welcome.
Ganesh, there are three, four more questions. Okay, let's take it.
Can we like 10 more minutes? Is that okay?
Okay, let's be quick then.
Yeah.
Okay, Joey, are you there? Asha Mishra?
Hi, I'm there.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Hello,
Please be quick,
everyone,
huh?
and a big hello to Ganesh.
Hi,
It
Joy.
was fantabulous listening to you. You are just a big basket of ideas and a lot of inspiration. So I have been watching you from the beginning. So I have got a question for you, whereby I would want to know that when we are starting a startup, okay, whether we have gotten experience or corporate exposure, or we are, exposed to a business school, or whether or not, there is always some flaws or errors that all entrepreneurs are prone to do. Like one, can you just tell me one of the most, the most biggest or the most, visible mistake that an entrepreneur, especially in a startup business, is prone to do? And if you avoid that business in the first year, the very first year, the natal stage of the business, then it will actually solve the entire problems of the business for the rest of the year. Like 80% of the problems will be solved if we focus on that particular thing, that particular key thing of the business. There are lots of things in a business. I just want to tell you the core thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like you're asking for a jadoo ki chhadi. वो है नहीं. But I will tell you two things that are very critical, right? Number one,
Great.
um, solve for distribution faster than you solve for product. We like to romance products a lot. We overestimate the value of the product and we underestimate the value of distribution. In India, I will tell you from my, all my failures and all my experiences
Mhm.
that distribution trumps product every day. Every
Okay.
single day, distribution trumps product. So
Okay.
even if you have a not so great product, but you know exactly how you're going to hit the market and how you're going to reach your customer, you have a better chance of success. Number one. Number two,
Fabulous.
cash flows. Go and learn from all the Banyas and the Marwadis out there. They know cash flow like nobody's business, right? Uh,
True. True.
they understand what the only way company stays alive is through cash flows, not through the P&L, right? You need cash
Correct.
to survive.
Correct.
And as long as you understand what cash flow means and how do you keep cash flowing, you have a
Mm-hmm.
much better chance of success. If I have to learn anything from B school, that is the one thing I will learn as an entrepreneur by going to B
The
school.
cash flow management.
Absolutely. Right? These are the two
Okay.
big things that I would say uh, are more responsible for success than others from my experience, personal experience. Disclaimers apply. I'm sure there are other things.
Yeah, yeah, there are many. So, in a nutshell, it is the distribution and the cash flow management. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Great.
So let's take
Great.
up the next question.
Thank you.
Orgoda is here.
Welcome.
Orgoda, why don't you,
Yeah,
please? Yeah.
sure. Hi, Ganesh. I'm Orko Das from Essential Aquatic. We are basically a climate tech company in fisheries industry. So we basically work with the fish farmers on adverse climate scenarios, giving them the next 1 month's predictions as what is coming and what you have to do and all the inputs. And also we are making the farmers bankable by providing that kind of data because 90% of farmers are unbankable because of the reliable farm data. So
Hmm.
we are providing that data to the banks and the insurance and making their products also the insurance and the banks products also green by connecting through the ESG part of the farmers.
Got
So
it.
my
Nice.
my basic I was watching you since you I showed in Shark Tank, and I think that touched me a lot on that part when I feel that what's actually a founder has to go through. So my basic question is for a team building, team for a startup team is everything. For a team building, what is your first three key hires, and maybe what qualities you are looking for the key members when you're hiring on your team?
My first three hires typically will be generalists, and people who like to do things on the ground, right? मतलब
Right.
हाथ पैर मारना आना चाहिए, and core problem solvers, because every time they will hit some hurdle, you will hit more hurdles than not in the beginning. So my first three hires have to be problem solvers, and enthu, like you need energy. They have to be out there on the ground all the time, right?
Okay.
Unlimited energy चाहिए.
Right.
And they need to believe in the idea, because at that time you have nothing to show for it, right? So they need to believe in what you're doing. Uh,
Right.
as long as you find people like that, I wouldn't necessarily hire specialists in the beginning. Um, Disclaimers apply again. Like if we were doing like a mobile payment startup, you better have a payments guy, right? Otherwise, you can't afford to lose people's money, right? So it depends on the sector, to be honest, and depending on what you're doing. But in general, my first three hires would be people who can do multiple things. आज operations किया, कल factory में चले गए, day after tomorrow they're doing marketing, they're going to a stall. You need that flexibility, right? And you need that energy. That's what I would bet on in the first three. Later on, once your product market fit is established and you have your playbook is established and you want to scale, that's when you start hiring experts.
So that when you're starting for a scaling up, when you're already crossed the MVP level like that, and that time when you are hiring your team members, what qualities that time you are looking for?
There it is specifically people who have experience in uh, building from that 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 kind of a journey, right? People who understand the channel where you need to sell, if it's a sales guy, or if it is a marketer, people who understand how to do Facebook marketing separate, how to do SEO separate, how to do Google separate, whatever, right? Amazon ka marketing alag hai. So there you start finding experts. And now, if you're not able to find an expert, find an agency, but find somebody who can actually manage the agency well, right? It could be you yourself, but otherwise, find somebody who is an expert, an agency can't bullshit. Otherwise, agency will take your money and do anything they want, right? So those are I would start hiring experts in specific areas, whether it is operations, sales, marketing, tech, right? That's where the scale hires will be, right? Because
Right.
everything needs to be built for scale after that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that will be a 1 to 10 journey, 10 to 20, or every scalability has a different path and another different goals and different game plan.
Correct.
Right.
So yeah, there is no one size fits all, but yeah, this is generally what I normally would look at, right? Generalist first, specialist next.
Thanks. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ganesh, one last question.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is somebody called Manish Chetri. Manish, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
This is the last question we'll be taking up.
I'm sorry, I'll just make it very quick. Ganesh, coincidentally, you are from the same season of Shark Tank in which one of the company I was working for featured. The company name was Leafy Affair and it was in Shark Tank India season 2.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. So yeah, I have followed your work very closely since then. So yeah, it's a great coincidence that we are sitting in the same forum today and sharing our ideas or talking about it. It's
Manish,
been a
can
pleasure.
you switch on your video, please?
Little network issues, but I
No
hope it's
issue, no
manageable.
issue.
Yeah. So, Ganesh, so I'm working right now in a startup since 1 year. I moved back from Bangalore to my hometown city in Siliguri. Here, I'm trying to work with the regional products and trying to make it accessible across all pan India. Recently, I have started work. I was in the cohort program with IIT Kharagpur regarding Agripreneurship program AFBIC. And through which I got this opportunity to talk to you. I have two important questions here. One is that since it's a very small team, we are very small team of 3 to 4 people, right? So right now I'm working for the growth of the company. I'm working in different partnerships and all together, right? And we are planning to raise some funds. I think this only will cover both the questions. So once I raise the funds, or let's say once I'm able to raise some capital, do I look to lose the burden on myself or the production team? who's working more towards getting the products out in the market with different variations, right? So first of all, should I try to find a person who can take at least some 25% of my work, because there is a lot of thing on the plate, right? As a startup owner, you know that there are so many things on a founder's plate. So how do I approach that? Second thing is, in one of the sessions with IIT Kharagpur, I was told that it is better to go for a loan with some schemes like PMFME rather than going for a seed fund. So I was a little confused, like how should I approach me? Because since I was in Bangalore, most of the time it is all about seed funds, right? How it is in the market.
Yeah.
Like anywhere you go, it's all about seed fund, seed fund, seed fund. So that I don't know what approach to take there right now.
Got it. If you are overwhelmed as a founder in terms of the amount of work that needs to be done, and you are becoming a bottleneck, you should definitely hire for that. Right?
Okay.
As I said, early hire, find a generalist who can take up a lot of that, stuff. They should be able to take independent decisions without coming and asking you, right? As in, you can train them to do it over time, but you should find somebody who is willing to, has the attitude to take that ownership, right? That I call it ownership, right? So that is something that you need. Almost like a mini founder. That's the kind of person you will need to hire. The second question about loan or seed fund, it depends on where you are. If you are in a pre-product market fit phase, where you're not really sure whether your product is going to work or not, or you're still yet to find the right market, right customer for it, it is high risk, right? At that
What if
time,
I generated a revenue of close to 10 lakhs through Amazon, and I've just recently launched my website in the last 1 month. We launched in Flipkart also. So what should my approach be then?
So 10 lakhs is okay. Is it 10 lakhs per month?
No. Overall.
Okay. So yeah, that also is important, right? Once you get the comfort that you are able to create repeatable business by running marketing campaigns, that means that you've got some product market fit.
Correct.
Right? If you're still tinkering around with यार आज ये काम किया कल वो काम नहीं कर रहा है, and hence I have to do another new marketing campaign and experimentation, that means that you've not hit product market fit. So you will understand it, right? You will know when a regular playbook that you have defined starts working consistently. That is when product market fit happens. If you have product market fit, getting money to scale, ideally I would take seed fund money for accelerating the business.
Okay.
Right? Without solving for unit economics. You should already be CM2 positive, so that acceleration will take you to EBITDA positive. Basically, as you're growing your business, the profits that you're generating at the CM2 level are covering for your fixed costs, so that you're going closer to EBITDA. If you're bleeding at CM2 level, then I wouldn't recommend taking loans at all, or even seed funds. You will have to figure out product market fit and find a way to get to CM2 positive. After that, seed fund, I take money from equity investors to accelerate the business. Because ultimately, what they want is return on capital, right? Return on equity.
Of course, without a doubt.
Return on capital can only come when the business grows significantly, right? A loan is when you need to invest in some sort of, I don't know, capital investment. Like you're putting a factory, you're buying some equipment, right? You're investing in inventory. A lot of that can be managed by loans, to manage working capital and to manage, balance sheet investments. But I wouldn't necessarily um, uh, take equity fund for that, because equity becomes very expensive to put into a factory or whatever, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Growth capital has to be, ideally growth capital will be equity. If you're able to manage with loans, nothing like it. If you're already, close to EBITDA positivity, positive level, and, you're confident that you'll be able to pay back the loan, not by putting your own money, but through the business generating cash, absolutely go for loans. I would prefer loans to equity funds any day. The reason being, there is no dilution, and equity comes with a lot of expectations, right? It is always less risky to go for loans, provided you're able to pay it back with the cash generated by the business and not from your own pocket.
Sure, got it.
I hope I'm.
Yeah, much clear, much clear. Because since we are a consumer-based brand, the social media
Manish,
thing, plus you need to push your products to the market. And I think we have found out an ideal combination of product that can actually be a market leaders. So I was really willing to, and even IIT Kharagpur, like from AFBIC, they encouraged me a lot to work on this so that we can put it out in the market. So yeah,
Manish,
yes.
Manish, actually, what you make? What's your product?
So we are into pickles, but we are specifically looking into
Kombucha tea. Are you making kombucha tea? By the
No. That is, I think, from Siang, some other
Acha,
brand.
acha. Okay.
Me,
It's
my
That is
brand is called.
Ashish. That is Ashish Siangbo. Who is making
Okay.
the
Chalo, ठीक है.
Uh, okay. Manish, get connected with us. Huh?
Yeah,
I
ma'am.
think we might be
I've
able to
taken
help you.
down your number, so I'll get in touch with you guys for sure.
Okay. Anyways, Ganesh, I think we have exceeded by exactly 1 hour. But anyways, nevertheless, it was so wonderful having you, and thank you for spending, 2 solid hours with us. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thanks a lot to all the participants, to all students, and to all my dear friends here, Orgoda, Nidhi, Asha, and everybody. Thank you for being there, and thanks a lot to Srinjoy also.
Thanks a
Okay,
lot
it's
for having me here. I really enjoyed the question answer sessions. The interactive session was fun. Good.
Thank you,
Srinjoy,
Ganesh.
Srinjoy, thanks a lot for sending the link to the Zoom session. Joy the here.